So, hello everyone and welcome along to TGP2 Season 22, rounds number 12 and 13. We are here for the race round USA and Brazil. We're just following one of the Williams as we get ready to go in this session. We've got about 5 minutes to go roughly, Softy, maybe a bit less than that. Softy will be joining me in the commentary box tonight, so hello Softy.
Hello, nice to meet you all again.
Right, so here we are. We're going to quickly go through the championship standings before going into these two races tonight. We have Knighton leading the championship. As you can see, currently top of the timesheets with about 3.5 minutes to go. He's currently leading the championship on 211 points even. Then we have Danskar in second on 164. Chiapelli in third on 106. Matt is in fourth on 93. And then we have Chris Johnson in fifth on 91 points. So yeah, just getting towards the end of this session now. We've got a lot of cars in the pit box for the time being, not really waiting to come and do their final run, Softy. What are your thoughts on this track at COTA, and what have you seen so far in the early parts of this session that could be vital for pole position?
Well, I mean, first off, the circuit, if I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan. It's a bit too, at least the last sector, it's a bit too stop-start. First sector, I do quite enjoy when you get it right, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. In terms of what I've seen this session, I think you've got to say the top two, Knighton and Senna, a second clear of Danskar. However, Danskar did obviously crash after his first lap. And again, it is a 1 second gap between the first two and the rest of the field, so I think potentially round here it could be a small fight for the lead, let's say. I don't think there'll be that many opportunities for people to catch them. Yeah,
definitely not indeed. We've got a few guys coming out with about 2 minutes to go in this session now. They're all starting to come out for their final runs in this qualifying session. Senna will be the first one starting up a lap, and I believe it'll be Knighton, then Chiapelli, and then Y-Racer of the top five in that order. Can you just clarify that for me, Softy? Quickly have a look for yourself on your screen.
Yeah, I am just taking a look at that. I do think you are pretty much correct there in terms of that. I'll see. Yeah.
So Senna will be the one we'll be following most of the lap, and then we'll be cutting towards Knighton and Chiapelli, and then Y-Racer towards the end of this session. So Senna's just building himself up to go here round COTA, coming around the last couple of corners, and it's vital for a good lap round here, Softy, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think the last sector you can lose a lot of time depending on the lines you take, especially the second to last corner. It's very easy either to cut the corner and invalidate your lap, or miss the apex, run wide, and just, your lap's gone right there and then.
Yeah, so Senna just coming out onto the final corner now. We will get some data up for you now. He's coming out of the final corner up towards the steep turn 1 incline. That is heading towards turn 1 now. Just see the pit exit on your right hand side or left hand side depending on where you are. But heading down through the S's now, here with Senna. That's the one I was going for in his Force India. So through the S's he's going. We're going to ride on board with him. He's got it pretty nicely hooked up so far, hasn't he, Softy?
He has, yeah. It looks very neat and tidy right now. I do think he might be a tad down on Knighton in that first sector, but that's easily made up if you nail the rest of the lap.
Yep. So heading into the hairpin at the end of the back straight. That is turn number 11, and they need to get a great exit out of this corner for this long back straight. There's about 30 seconds left to go in this session now, and everyone's out on hot laps for the final runs in this session. The DRS is wide open on this Force India, and then this big stop down into turn 12, and now you've got this very awkward final section, a couple of corners before it sort of opens out again. So you just got double apex after double apex. One to the right, one to the left, I think, or is it the other way around? I'm really struggling with directions here. But he's coming around the reverse turn 8 now. Just got a couple of corners left to go on this lap, and I keep pressing the wrong button, which isn't helping anyone there. Coming around the final corner now. Senna, what is his lap time going to be? It is going to be a 31.3, and it puts him top of the time charts for the time being. Then we have next to come across the line is Chiapelli, or is it Speed Racer? Chiapelli. It's Chiapelli next, right.
Chiapelli.
So following Chiapelli now, coming round the reverse turn 8 into the final couple of corners himself in his Mercedes now. The reigning champion from last season. What's he going to do in this qualifying session? He comes across the line. Bazza puts himself up into third with a 32.5. Chiapelli, 31.5, is next on the board, and he's put himself all the way up into position number 2, that is, P2. So he's got a 10th quicker than Knighton, but Knighton is on a hot lap. Just got a couple of corners to go now. On board with the Sauber driver. And into the final corner, that is turn number 20. What's his lap time going to be? Is he going to jump Senna for pole? And he has, with a 31 dead. He is the pole sitter for the American Grand Prix. Decent lap towards the end that we're riding on board with from the Sauber driver. And now we're going to quickly run through the full results from that session. Y Racer in the end, who was behind him on the circuit, I think abandoned his last lap. So here are the results from that session. We've got Knighton on pole. Senna will be starting in second. Chiapelli qualifies third, but it's got a 5th place grid penalty for a collision with Angel versus Death, I believe it was. Then we have Bazza in 4th. Dansgaard in 5th, Y Racer 6th, Chris Johnson 7th, Dom Smith in 8th, James Botham in 9th, Elite Shots in 10th, Mr. John in 11th. Then we've got Angel vs Death 12th, Red Bull Kim in 13th, and then Bossman Sean 14th. And that is your runners and riders for the US Grand Prix, round number 12 of the TGP2 Season 22. What are your predictions for this race, Softy?
Well, again, as I said earlier, I think it's going to be pretty much a 2-horse race between the top two. I think Chiapelli, clearly he's shown he's got the pace in qualifying. Whether he has that over the course of the full race is another story, but he is in the danger zone with that penalty due to the collision with Angel versus Death in qualifying. So I think it will be interesting, at least at turn 1.
Yeah, it could be very interesting at turn 1, especially with the widening entry to the apex we have on these modern Tilke circuits. Widening apex, and it's a very tight corner, one of the slowest on the circuit, if not the slowest. I think maybe turn 12 is slightly slower actually, but still.
Yeah, it's definitely slow.
But yeah, definitely one of the slow speed corners, and then it leads you straight into the S's section, so where everyone will sort each other out and it'll be down to single file by then, hopefully. But here we are, we've got the 4 lights, 5 lights, 6 lights, no, there's only 5, and we're ready to go here in USA, and the lights are out and we are away here in Austin. Decent start from the Force India guys. Ferraris have having a great start. Bazza, is that looking up the inside? Oh, there's a bit of contact, a bit of argy-bargy going on between the front guys, but a pretty cleanish start actually from these guys. Heading into the S's for the first time, and it's going to be Senna, then Knighton. Bazza's still in 3rd, Y Race in 4th, Dansgaard in 5th, and Chiapelli's up to 6th from his qualifying position as we follow these top cars. So coming out of the S's, Senna still in the lead. There's a little bit of action happening behind, Softy. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, obviously there is a bit of action there in terms of everyone jostling for position. I think Misha Chiapelli going up the inside of Dansgaard now. I think Dansgaard will get the run out of the corner, and he does. And there's a bit of contact there, so that's Dansgaard's race ruined right there with no win. So following Knighton anyway, you were looking further down the pack. Knighton is making a move round the outside of Senna in towards turn number 12. Doesn't quite get the move done. We can see Y Racer having a look at Bazza as well in the background. He can't quite get the move done either, but it's still Senna leading Knighton, Bazza, and then Speed Y Racer. So decent start from the field, pretty much. Pretty clean first corner, surprisingly, Softy. It is, yeah. It was very clean. I think turn 1's very easy to obviously to have incidents just because how tight it is, and it's very easy to get on the curb on the exit. But yeah, very surprising to remain as clean as it is. But I think you've got to be. It's a long race. There's no point ruining your race at turn 1. Yeah, and that looked like a decent-ish exit from Knighton onto the straight. Maybe he's not going to be quite close enough actually to make a move on Senna into the first corner. He's going to give it a go. He's very close on the brakes actually. Good braking on that Sauber compared to the Force India driver of Senna, as Chiapelli and Dom Smith are having a battle further down the field. Let's have a look at that. So is that Chiapelli passing Dom Smith? I think that was. So yeah, I think Chiapelli's up into P5. Decent start from him, gaining 3 positions so far from his starting position to P8 thanks to his penalty. He's shown in qualifying he does have the pace to be, well, pretty much with Senna. And there's contact between Knighton and Senna.
Knighton and Senna having contact. Oh, Knighton's gone back down the field. Has he got front wing damage? No, not quite. It's definitely contact.
Knighton has half of his wings missing.
Oh, yeah. And Senna's let him pass, and that means Bazza is now leading the race, but Y-Racer is all over the back of him. DRS not quite active yet in this race. I've got Y-Racer all over the back of him. He's down the inside, in towards turn 12. Can Y-Racer get the move done? They're going to be side by side, running up towards 13. Still side by side. He's going to try and hang it round the outside. Doesn't quite get the move done, and Bazza maintains the lead of this race, Softy.
Yep, obviously.
But Y-Racer sticks it up the inside just as I thought it was all over. He's just gone for a massive full shalom up the inside. Didn't quite work out for him, and now he's gone backwards. So Bazza is leading. Then we have Knighton in third, with Speed Racer Senna in second. Speed Racer Senna? Speed Senna, what am I saying tonight? I've got Durble via here? Sorry, say something, please. I'm struggling here.
Well, to be fair, I was about to say there, Speed or Y-Racer, should I say, up the inside of Mr. Chiapelli, but Knighton, to be fair, with half a wing, is actually holding them up. So this is actually working very well for Senna and Bazza. So yeah, obviously Elite Shots is in the pits as well. So yeah, not very good for him.
Yeah, well, Senna is all over the back of Bazza now. He's only like 2 tenths behind him as they come through the final couple of corners in the SE. I think I've composed myself now. I was trying to say verbal diarrhea I've got at the moment, but anyway, interesting line there from Senna as we head in towards turn number 11. Is he going to stick it up the inside, full shalom it up the inside? No, not quite. He's going to wait for the DRS to be enabled, which it is this time round, I believe. It is lap number 3. So the DRS is wide open on that Force India. He's going to duck to the inside down this fairly long back straight here at Kota. Does he get the move done? And yes, he's got the move done before the corner. Slides in front of Bazza, in before the braking zone, and he's got the move done. Meanwhile, further back, Y-Racer is in third. Chiapelli in fourth, and they've both overtaken Knighton now, haven't they, Softy?
They have, yeah. Obviously, I think Knighton, to be honest, either didn't, he didn't defend. I don't know whether he was saving his urge just because he knew that there was going to overtake him. But yeah, Knighton didn't really bother defending that. And I think, to be fair, rightfully so. He's just holding himself up and losing more time. Yeah,
so heading round the end of lap number 3 now. We're on board with Chiapelli now. He's going to try and hold on to the back of Y-Racer. I don't think he's going to be able to get the move done. Bossman Sean and Speed Knighton having a battle in the background though. Have they got the move done on each other? Yes, I think Bossman... Well, Knighton's pitted actually. That's what happened there. Yep. Knighton's in the pits. So that's that battle done. We're getting a very nice battle brewing for P5. And I think Chiapelli's just trying to hang on to the back of Y-Racer at the moment. About 7 tenths. And is it dropping? It's about staying about 6-7 tenths. But the closest battle on the circuit currently is the battle between Chris Johnson and Dom Smith, Softy.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a bit of a battle there. To be fair, I mean, you know, it's difficult to really gain time and lose time in this first sector. But yeah, I mean, it's staying relatively close, to be honest. But I think that's more down to DRS and the nature of the circuit. Yeah,
that definitely is indeed. It's gone down to about 7 tenths. But Dom is all over the back of Chris Johnson on the exit. He got a poor run through turn 11 now. They've both got DRS wide open though, because Chris Johnson was close enough to the back of Sean at the detection point. Is Dom going to lunge it up the inside? No, he doesn't, but Chris Johnson's missed the apex, and that's invited Dom Smith to possibly go for an opportunity, but he doesn't take it. So he's still all over the back of Chris Johnson in towards 15 and 60. Is he going to stuff it up the inside? No, not quite, but he's smelling the chance, Dom Smith, as he heads towards the end of the lap now. Through the reverse turn 8, that is 17 and 18, the reverse of Turkey turn 8. That's what I'm referring to there, for those who do not know. Heading towards turn number 20 now. There's a DRS detection zone just there, and now he's heading onto the main straight. But again, Chris Johnson has got DRS on. Chris Johnson has DRS on Bossman Sean, so there's this three-way battle brewing for 5th place, Softy. What's happening further up the field?
Yeah, so Y-Racer DRS into turn 1, nice and clean. However, though, I think the key thing at the moment is Senna is clearly cruising because he's still got 94% ERS to be used throughout this race, while Y-Racer's only on 63, and Bazar, trying to keep that pace at the start, is on 46. So I think Bazar's trying to save his ERS right now.
Well, Chris Johnson, sorry to interrupt you, but Chris Johnson has run very wide coming out of the S's, and Dom Smith is possibly making a move up the inside. No, he doesn't. Not quite. He's going to wait for the exit. Gets a better exit than Chris Johnson, and he should be able, even with both drivers have DRS. And Chris Johnson doesn't even have DRS this time. Dom Smith does. They're going to head side by side down the straight in towards turn 12, and it should be the move done for Dom Smith. When did James Botham get disqualified? I didn't realise that.
It was at the start. I don't think he actually started off the grid.
That'll be why then. So that's what happened there. We've got Red Bull Kim overtaking Mr. John further down the field. That is a battle for P7 and P8, and Dom Smith will be looking to try and go towards the driver that is. He's trying to go towards Bossman Sean now and go up into 4th position with some of the guys like Danskar and Knighton already pitting in this race. We've got Bazza in as well. Dom Smith is in, and it'll be interesting to see where they come out compared to the likes of Knighton and Danskar. I think Bazza will come out in and around there, I think.
Yeah, they'll be mid-pack somewhere. Obviously, I mean, realistically, they are going to be ahead. And a bit of contact there between Mr. Chiapelli and Angel versus Death, but I don't think there was any damage there, luckily.
No, not too much done. They've all jumped. The guys that have pitted, though, this Chiapelli has gone up into 6th place. And yeah, Angel versus Death and Chiapelli have a bit of controversy from that qualifying session. Chiapelli got a 5th-place grid penalty, which put him in 8th position, even though he qualified in 3rd. So not the best ideal situation there, and they've come to blows again, but luckily no penalties handed out this time round, Softy.
No, yeah, and actually looking at Mr. Chiapelli's front wing, I do believe, as far as I can tell, there might actually be a few little missing sort of winglets and stuff on his right-hand side, if I can see correctly from my camera angle. However, in front of them, Mr. John and Red Bull Kim going at it. Yeah,
well, meanwhile, further down the field, we're going to look at Bazza versus Knighton, because Knighton, these guys have both made the stop. I think this would be battling for net P3 once everyone makes their stops. It's Knighton versus Bazza. Knighton has the DRS on Bazza, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move into 12. He's got to give it a go, though, and he has given it a go. They're going to be side by side, running through turn number 12, heading towards 13. Bazza's going to try and hold it on the inside. Knighton tries to shut the door on him. Doesn't quite make it stick, and they're still going to be side by side. Knighton's going to push him right to the edge of the circuit and gets the move done, and he's up into P8 at the moment as Chris Johnson peels into the pit lane.
Yep, so, I think Chris Johnson's perfect timing there, to be honest. But again, I think the interesting thing, I must say, Owen, with regards to Knighton and Bazza, is, as far as I can tell, Bazza's laps are 2 laps younger. So that may, if he can keep it
Bazza's laps are 2 laps longer. Oh, you're struggling just as much as me.
I am. It's a hard day at work.
Yeah, right. So Speed Senna is actually going on to lap 7. He started on the Ultra Softs and he still hasn't appeared yet. It's a bit. What do you think of that strategy, Softy?
Well, it's interesting. Let's just say that. But I think realistically, the fact that he hasn't pitted, I don't think he's really got much to gain or lose.
No, he hasn't indeed. We've got Red Bull Kim and Mr. John continuing their battle a little bit further up the field. We've got Dom Smith and Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson has actually come out ahead of Dom Smith once they've pitted. So he did the overcut Chris Johnson on Dom Smith, and it's worked an absolute treat for him. But Dom Smith is going to have DRS once again, and he's going to have to try and do all that hard work that he did before the stop once again on Chris Johnson. We're going to have the DRS heading towards turn number 12 now. Is he going to stick it up the inside? No, he doesn't. He waits for a slightly better opportunity on him, Softy.
Yeah, it's good. And actually, looking further up the field, Y-Racer is into the pits, and he's going to do the alternate strategy to Speed Senna.
That is surprise. Senna still hasn't pitted yet. He started on the Ultra Softs, and he's taken them a fair bit into this race. Red Bull Kim's the only other driver that started on Ultra Softs that hasn't made a pit stop yet, and he's a bit further down the field, and he's trying something different to maybe gain a few places or wait for a potential safety car.
Without a doubt, I think he, again, Red Bull Kim got nothing to lose. There very easily could be a safety car. I mean, looking at the the way this circuit is, there could be a few battles as Knighton is trying to go around the outside of Red Bull Kim at turn 1.
And he's lost the place to Bazza because of that move. So Bazza's gone straight back past Knighton. He's up into P6 and he's struggling to get past Red Bull Kim. He's doing a very alternate strategy and holding the pair of these guys up through this S's section. Knighton is right at the back of this pack, losing a position to Bazza thanks to the aggressiveness from Red Bull Kim there. He pushed him right out onto the curb, and now Bazza's run wide. Knighton's been aggressive with Red Bull Kim, got the position done, and now Chris Johnson and Dom Smith are on the back of this battle as well. So Red Bull Kim has basically invited a massive scrap for potential third place. It's all kicking off down here with these guys as they head further down the field. They're 4 wide by the looks of that. Yes, are they 4 wide? Yes, they look like 4 wide. I don't know who's got past. Red Bull Kim's diving back up the inside. Oh, this is all getting very chaotic between these three. Somehow everyone's just about made it through clean as a whistle from these guys. And my timing screen is not updating, Softy.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the moment, Dom obviously now just got ahead of Bazza, but I do reckon going into that corner before the massive DRS straight, I think Bazza's actually lost half of his wing on the back of Red Bull Kim because, you know, he's now missing half of his wing, sadly. So I think that's curtains for Bazza's, haul of points he was going to get. Yeah,
such a shame for Bazza. Mr. John is pitted, and Senna still hasn't stopped yet on his ultra soft tyres at the top of the field. And Y-Racer...
Yeah, he's not.
Y-Racer, has he pitted, yes or no?
He has pitted, yes.
So Y-Racer's pitted, and according to my screen, he's only 1.2 behind. I don't know how actual that is. I'll have a quick look. Yes, he is actually 1.1 behind, so I'm not sure what Senna's trying to achieve in this race.
Yeah. I mean, it shows on the stops that Senna has pitted, so...
Oh, he has pitted, okay, right.
Yeah, it shows that he's pitted, but it's a bit odd.
I'm having some issues with my, what is it? My thing. HUD, that's the one. I'm having some issues with it, and it's been playing up. It didn't show Chris Johnson, Dom Smith and Bazza all getting past Dom until about 4 corners later. So I'm not sure. Yeah. It's a bit delayed what I'm getting on the HUD at the moment. But Y-Racer is closing on the back of Senna. He's looking for potentially his first win in TGP2 in his debut race, Softy.
Yeah, a very good debut, to be honest with yourself. I think he's showing himself well, and potentially, you know, if he keeps us up, will he get into TGP1 next season? I think there may be a chance. But yeah, he's definitely the best way to start his TGP career. Yeah,
Bazza is actually just about keeping up with Dom Smith still, even with that wing damage at the moment. He's just about hanging on to the back of him. It's about a second behind, it's still just about there, but Sean is lurking in the background as well as we move on to lap number 10. So we have race leader Speed Senna is about 8 tenths in front of Y-Racer as we head into lap number 10. So, Softy, any thoughts on what this race is going to behold towards the end?
Well, to be honest with yourself, I think the one to watch is definitely the race for the lead. I think the battle for the mid-pack, P5, P6, P7, and also P8 is interesting. I think that's the closest gaggle of cars, with Bossman Sean right behind Bazza now. Chris Johnson, a few corners ago, picked up a time penalty. So if Dom can keep within 3 seconds, which he's clearly doing at the moment, then Dom's in a net P5.
Yeah, net P5. Meanwhile, the battle is brewing for the race lead now as they head towards the end of the lap. Y-Racer is getting closer and closer to the back of Senna. Senna, I believe, is on the super soft tyres. Yes, he is. He's on the super soft tyres. So he's on supers on mine.
Senna's on super.
Yeah, that's why I said Senna.
Is on ultras. My apologies.
Yeah, so Senna is on supers. So Y-Racer has the grippier tyre. So it'll be very interesting to enter the race between these two guys. How well are these ultras going to last for Y-Racer? About 9 seconds back, we have Chiapelli in third. Knighton is in fourth. Chris Johnson is in fifth. Then we have Dom Smith in sixth. Sean seventh. Bazza eighth. And championship second place man, Danskar, is running in ninth. I think he had some contact on the opening lap from memory, and that's what made him go on to an alternate strategy. He's the only car running out on the soft tyre currently in this race as we still ride on board with Y Racer. This is the main battle we're focusing on. It's the battle for lead. It is between Senna and Y Racer. It's about 8-9 tenths, so if he can get himself a little bit closer in this braking zone, he might be able to have an opportunity at the end of the straight. No, not quite. Meanwhile, that gap, it keeps fluctuating like mad. I think Dom has got a bit of front wing damage between that battle between Chris Johnson and Dom Smith.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking on my screen, Dom's got all of his wing, Chris Johnson's got all his wing, Sean's got all of his wing, and Basil in that gaggle is the only one without. But I must point out, as the lead comes down a bit further to 5 tenths, I don't believe there's much tyre wear around this circuit. So it's not a case of just because Y Racer is on the fast tyre doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to have enough of a speed advantage to overtake at this circuit.
Okay, so thank you very much there for your input, Softy. As we're going to follow Knighton and Chiapelli, this is the battle for the last podium spot. Knighton is closing up on the back of Chiapelli. We've got a battle for lead, battle for third, and a battle brewing for 6th place between Bossman Sean and Dom Smith. Bossman Sean is actually pushing Dom round turn number 18. There, he's going to hang it and take the IndyCar line in towards turn number 20. He's going to have DRS coming through 20, and he's going to look for a move going into turn 1. We're going to ride on board with the Toro Rosso. He's got the DRS wide open. I think Dom has got front wing damage, you know. He seems to be really struggling in the high-speed corners compared to the other cars. And Sean slides it up the inside and is up into P number 6 in this race. So he's up into
However,
P6.
Looking on the ERS, the reason Dom's struggling is because he's run out of ERS completely. He's only on 5% ERS, so
that'll be why.
He's not managed it well at all.
So he hasn't managed his ERS wall at all well, and he's struggling so much. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the DM, Softy, as what's going on. So Chiapelli losing about 9 tenths to Knighton that time round. Knighton's actually got up into third. I'm really not with it at all today. I'm really struggling here. Luckily we will have Mike Noon back for the second race, and it will help me out a bit. He'll be the main commentator for the second race tonight, and I'll be co-commentating. So luckily a lot less talking from me, which the way it's been going for me, it was probably for the best. Softy.
Without a doubt. I think Mike, obviously, you know, taking up the mantle of commentator again, I think it'll be good for the second race, and with it being Brazil, I'm sure it's going to be very lively.
Yeah, Brazil's always presides the challenge. Last season we had that massive accident on lap 1 in the wet, and it caused absolute chaos. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is, I think Y Racer's tyres have actually dropped off now, and that's not good for him. I think that lead battle is pretty much done. I think Senna's going to take home the victory, barring any issues now. Y Racer's Ultras have just gone off. So Senna actually extended his first stint, put him under a little bit of pressure right at the start of his super soft run, but now the Ultras have gone off a bit, it's actually helped him out massively. As meanwhile, Bazza picks up a 3-second time penalty. You're on board with Bossman Sean now. Closest battle on the circuit is Sean versus Chris Johnson as they head towards turn number 11 now. Is he going to be able to get close enough into the DRS zone? I think he'll definitely have DRS, but is he going to be able to make a move into turn number 12 now? This is the main battle on circuit at the moment. Everyone else has sort of gapped each other or made position change. So we see, well, we can't really see from that camera angle actually on the Toro Rosso. He got closer to Chris Johnson there, but couldn't make the move, did he, Softy?
No, I think obviously the DRS a bit too far back to really do anything, and potentially Chris Johnson I think might have used a bit more ERS just to try and defend that position, and he does still have more ERS overall to use. Yeah.
So here we are heading round turn 17 and 18. Sean is all over the back of Chris. Well, it was all over the back of Chris Johnson until he ran massively wide, picked up a bag of understeer. They both take the IndyCar line through turn number 19 into turn number 20 now, and more IndyCar lines from Bossman Sean. They're heading towards the first corner. It's the final lap of the race, and Sean is very close. DRS is wide open. Is he going to lunge it up the inside at turn 1. No, he isn't. He's going to wait for the back straight, most likely. Or maybe not. He's going to try and move into the S's. They're side by side going towards turn number 3 now. Chris Johnson on the inside, and he's got the move done. That is a brilliant move from Sean. He's got himself a top 5 finish, and barring any disasters on this final lap. And what a move that was, Softy.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it was, I'd say, ballsy is the best word I can describe that. I don't think he really had to risk it, but I think it shows the sort of driver he is. He'd rather get past rather than wait, which is good to see from drivers at time to time.
Yeah. Let's see if Chris Johnson can actually make a move back on this final DRS zone. It's his last chance to try and get the move back, but I don't think he's going to be close enough coming towards the end of the straight. But he is closing, he's closing. DRS is quite powerful on this circuit. And no, he isn't quite going to get the move done. No, he isn't. So that will be that, most likely. As we're on watching Senna come round the final corner for the last time in this race. Senna wins the US Grand Prix. Speed Y Racer will come home in 2nd position. Then in his Renault on his debut race. Very good performance from him. Then we've got to wait about 12.5 seconds for Knighton to come round the final corner. And he will round off the podium. So good race for the championship lead after picking up a bit of wing damage. Chiapelli in his Mercedes is going to come home in 4th position. Then it will be Bossman Sean in 5th, Chris Johnson in 6th. Then we have Dom Smith coming home in 7th place, Bazza coming home in 8th. Then we have Danscar will be 9th, just holding off. No, Danscar has been let past by Bazza actually. Bazza's let his teammate through. So P8 Danscar, P9 Bazza, sorry about that. Mr. John will be in 10th. Then we have Elite Shots, who's a long way back actually, coming home in P11. Red Bull Kim will get the final point in this race. So what are your thoughts on this race, Softy?
It wasn't a bad race. I think compared to Singapore and Australia last week, I think it was a bit more mellow. It was definitely less dramatic. I will say that, but I think some good strategies. It was an overall clean race, bar the odd little incident here and there. But yeah, obviously I'm sure Brazil will be more exciting with this type of circuit is. But I think a lot of the drivers today have done well for themselves.
So here is the end of the US Grand Prix, round number 12 of TGP2 Season 22. Pretty exciting race, battles up and down the field. Not one of the best this season, but not one of the better ones this season, but probably not the best so far. As we head to the podium now, we see Senna, Knighton and Y Racer celebrating on the podium. Decent results for each driver. Senna maybe putting himself as a wild card in this championship race. Y Racer, decent debut performance for Renault, and Knighton, the championship leader, outscoring Danscar once again and extending his championship lead, Softy.
Yeah, again, obviously very, very good from all of them on the podium. Obviously Knighton, again, very good. Chiapelli, not bad as well. Obviously P4. I think he may be a bit disappointed because obviously the quali incident. I think he won't be too dissatisfied with the P4, I'd say.
So here is going to be the full race rundown. So Senna is the race winner from Y Racer. Then we have Knighton in 3rd, Mr. Chiapelli in 4th. Then we have Sean in 5th, Bossman Sean, Tom Smith in 6th, Chris Johnson in 7th, Danscar in 8th. 9th is Bazza, 10th Mr. John, 11th Elite Shots, 12th is Red Bull Kim. And we welcome to the commentary box Mike Noon. How are you doing tonight, Mike?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Yes, we're all very well. I'm having a bit of a mare, so you're now the main commentator, so take it away, please, Mike.
I'm very glad to. Obviously, I don't know what's just happened in race number 1. I'm sure it's been a classic, although I did hear that apparently Ayrton Senna's made a comeback and won the race.
Yes, he has. He has, definitely indeed. Great to see that Senna has come back from his grave and won a race for you, Mike.
That's really good news. I think it's a big story for TGP2 as well. I think of all the winners that we could have had tonight, Senna is definitely one that I wouldn't have thought to have been up there. So really good to see a different change of order. Who is Senna? I know everyone's changed their PS4 names.
Yes,
I
Senna
don't know if any of you know.
Matt.
I'm sure you will do, but PS4 has now allowed you to change your online name, so it's going to make Commentary Box very difficult for the next few races.
Senna is Matt, by the way, the old Matt.
Old Matt.
Ye old Matt indeed. That is who Senna is. So he's picked up another victory for himself this season. There was 4 wide at one point with Red Bull Kim, Chris Johnson and Bossman Sean. No, Bazza, I believe, at one point with Red Bull Kim staying out longer than most.
Matt was plays, wasn't he?
No, that Knighton is plays.
Oh God.
You haven't commentated for a couple of weeks, Mike, and you've got to pick up.
It shows.
What? Yeah. You need quickly go.
I'm
quickly
run
go
through my order
Mike.
here. Right, so Chiapelli's obviously still Luca. Bazza's. Who's Speed Senna again then?
Speed Senna is who is Speed Senna? Speed Senna is Matt.
Which one's Matt?
Matt is in the Force India.
Is that the one who won in Austria?
Yes.
Oh, that Matt. Right, yes, I'm with you now.
Yes, right, yeah. You've got yes. You haven't been here a few weeks and you haven't seen all the name changes. So
no, I haven't. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
I know that now. Who's Dan's car? Is Dan's car now Y Racer?
No, Dan's car is still Dan's car.
Right. Okay, that keeps things relatively simple.
Yes.
In that sense, at least, anyway.
Yeah.
Right. This is going to go really well, everyone. So, welcome along then to round number 13, is this? This is round number 13.
It is round number 13, Mike.
So, welcome along then to round number 13. As you can tell, I've been away for a little while, just getting myself back into gear.
Yeah.
And looking forward to a fantastic Brazilian Grand Prix, we hope.
Yeah.
It's dry for qualifying for the time being. We have 14 runners, and they're all getting ready to go out on track. So, it's handy, because I've still got Bossman Sean's name up here, so I'm not going to forget him. Speed Knighton, who's that?
That is the plays. That is the championship leader.
That's plays. Good. Right. That's all I need to do. Speed Senna is Matt.
Yep.
Mr. John's Mr. John. Kim. Dan's car. Good. Angel versus Death.
That is the old Michael Kenny.
It's not, is it?
It is.
Is he in a midlife crisis?
Possibly.
and then who's Speed Y Racer?
Oh, he's debuting tonight. He's a new guy.
Oh, very good. So we got
he got a podium on his debut for you, Mike.
Did he? Wow.
Yes.
That's good to know. So we have 4 speed people racing tonight. That's incredibly interesting. I've already forgotten who half of them are already. That's going well. Looking down the order, and it's like reading a menu at a Scottish restaurant. Nothing's particularly jumping out at me.
No.
So we've got the drivers. We've got 16.5 minutes to go. So the session is still young, and we've got about half the grid at the moment heading out on their outlap. So, Owen. Obviously, it's an interesting sort of track, Brazil. It's got this half the track geographically and literally is taken at full throttle, and then you've got this tricky infield section where it's so tricky to keep the car in the right line. You're constantly battling with understeer and then lift off oversteer. What are the key features around this circuit to make sure to keep your head in the right place to ensure that you're getting the sort of lap time that you need?
The key features around here is you need to have a
Dan's car's retired.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting, Dan's car.
I don't know if he's binned it.
I wasn't watching, so I can't enlighten you.
Neither.
Mike, sorry. But anyway, what your point was you need to have a very well balanced car around here on aero, because you've got to have a very well balanced car. You've got to have the speed round the corners as well as be able to have top speed down the straights, Mike.
Yeah, so it's tricky, as you said. The balance to get right around here is particularly difficult. So you might see a lot of drivers running lower wings than other to ensure that during that first and last sector that they're really maximising the car. But you might see them losing out through the middle sector, which could put them at a little bit of a disadvantage. So it's going to be intriguing to see what sort of, as Michael Kenny has retired as well. It's a session of attrition at the moment. We've got James Botham just come around. He's going to be the first man to complete a lap. He's going to do a lap time of 1:09.5.
Yep.
We've got Bossman Sean coming up to the end of Sector 2 at the moment. Speed Knighton is just climbing the hill. This is Matt, isn't it?
Yep. Yes, Speed Knighton. No, that's not Matt. That is the championship leader coming up the hill. We're on board with him.
That's Plays. Sorry.
Yes,
so
Plays.
Plays then up to the line. He's going to put in a 1:08.4. Very tasty lap time from, I'm still going to call him plays for the time being until I get used to Knighton. Bossman Sean 4 tenths adrift. Bazza does a 1 minute 10.0. Senna, who's Matt, is just coming up to the line now. He's going to put in a time of 1 minute 7.7. He's taken 7 tenths of a second out of Knighton. That's a very good effort from him. Chiapelli pops into P3. Good effort there from Chiapelli, who got a podium, I believe, in the last race. So our reigning champion...
No, he finished fourth.
He just missed out on a podium in the previous race. So our reigning champion starting to find a little bit of form that has so far this season deserted him. We've got some more cars coming off the line at the moment. Chris Johnson's gone P5. Who else of big drivers have we got out on the track at the moment? So we've got Matt, who's on an
Mr. John and Red Bull Kim are the 2 drivers out on laps at the moment.
Okay. Dom Smith has just left the pits as well, so we've got everyone at the moment who can still complete a lap, either come on an out lap or on a lap at the moment. Mr. John goes P8, his continuing battle with Bazza still reigning on, just a couple of tenths adrift off the Ferrari driver. We've got Jack Craig, who hasn't set the best lap time so far, down in P9, but I'm sure there's time to find for the Williams driver. Red Bull Kim, what sort of whereabouts is he on the track at the moment?
He's
just
middle
coming
sector.
Into middle sector. Is he got on the medium tyres?
He is on the medium tyres, you are seeing that right, Mike. Also, I would like to enlighten you on some news from the Milton Keynes Weather Centre. Would you like to know this news, Mike? So, the news...
Do go on.
Yes, so the news from the Milton Keynes Weather Centre is it will be a bone dry race for you, Mike.
Right, so we've got these hazy conditions at the moment. Red Bull Kim runs a little bit wide going up the hill and nearly loses control. A little bit hazy at the moment in qualifying, making for a bit of a misty affair, but you won't want to miss this qualifying as we've got Red Bull Kim coming up to the line at the moment. Where's this lap time going to put him? He's at the bottom of the pecking order at the moment for the ones who can still set lap times. So, who...
Y Racers on a lap.
Y Racer, who is... I can't... What's his real name again?
His debut, call him Y Racer.
So he's not been anything different. That makes my life easier. So Y Racer is Y Racer as he hums up to the last real corner on the track at the moment and makes the long climb up the hill. Is he going to be able to join his speed friends at the top of the provisional order for the time being? Comes up to the line now and he's going to set a 1 minute 8.0. It puts him second. It splits Knighton and Senna for the time being as James Botham retires. We've got a few more drivers going out on out laps.
Yeah, and Dom Smith is on a flyer
at the moment. Who's on a flyer?
Dom Smith.
Dom Smith's on a flyer, the most important man. Where is he? There he is. On the super soft tyres, coming towards the end of sector 2. And he's going to be already spotting his braking zone for Zhengzhou, I think it's called, from memory. As he's now about to make the long climb up the hill.
So,
Dom Smith then. Where's he going to
go? No one knows.
Goes up towards the line. P7.
And Dom Smith. We got Knighton, I think, just about to start a lap. We've got basically everyone's starting to do their second runs now, Mike.
I see. This is the issue with such a short track. We don't have any respites to go for any provisional orders because we've already got people starting their next runs. So, as we said, Speed Knighton then our championship leader. Coming down, back straight. Sorry.
Yeah. I thought you'd stop for a minute. I was trying to fill the gap. We don't want...
No, you fill away, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. So yes, Knighton championship leader heading into the middle sector now. A very difficult middle sector to get right, especially this section of corners he's come through now, Mike.
Yep, this is now where he's got... If that's a tricky braking zone, he's run a little bit wide there. He'll be kicking himself in the cockpit about that one, but he's got no time to worry about what he's just done because he needs to be focused on what he's doing. Knighton then into this tricky right-handed turn. Get on the power nice and early. It's slightly banked, but it goes a little bit off camber as you get towards the exit curb. Towards the end of sector 2 now. He's just got the long climb up the hill. Dom Smith nicely gets out of the way, but I imagine he would like to tow up the hill. Here we go then, the long climb, keeping as far left as he can. And he will do the same as he comes across the line, surely, as most of them have been so far. He keeps left indeed. Knighton improves, and he's now less than a tenth off of his speed compatriot, I guess you can call him.
But Senna's on a lap himself at the moment, coming through turns number... That is turn 11 he's coming through now, heading towards turn 12, the final proper corner on this circuit, Mike, and he's heading up the main straight for you.
Yep, here he goes. So, the long climb up the hill, and as he gets towards the line, where's this time going to put him? Senna, can he improve first of all? Yes, he can, but he only finds a 10th. So the gap now between the top two is up to 2 tenths. And you have to say, there's a lot of drivers out there who I reckon can still find some more time. Bossman Sean definitely being one of them, as we know how much of a qualifying specialist he can be.
Sorry about that, it's just I've seen the Wolves Arsenal score.
What is the Wolves Arsenal score?
Wolves have just scored.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Who scored?
Ruben Neves.
Oh, golly.
Yes. Yes, not
That's
exactly
gone well.
ideal.
Right.
Oh, yeah. As we see Y Racer coming up to the middle sector for you now, Mike. Sorry about that.
Yes, sorry. He's on an outlap. So we're still waiting for him to start. Where's Chris Johnson at the moment? He is on a flying lap and coming through the middle sector. He's about to drop down the hill. That tricky section to get on the power, then chuck it into the left-hander. Hope the car's going to grip. It 9 times out of 10 will, as he then round Zheng Zhao and up the climb of the hill towards the start-finish straight. Is this going to be an improvement from the Sauber driver? It's still called Sauber, remember? And across
yes,
the line then, and he does go 5th.
Yeah.
So he's found about 4 tenths there, so not a bad effort there from Chris Johnson.
Y Racer just coming across the line now. Where's he going to go? Doesn't improve.
Well,
so, yeah. Y Racer, no improvement from him. Anyone else on a lap? Chris Johnson on an in lap. Chiapelli, is he on a fly? Yes, he is. He hasn't improved either.
no.
No, no one's really improved.
Bossman Sean's in the pits. Is
Yeah.
Y Racer on a lap now?
No, he's just finished one.
No, he's just finished one. Okay.
Yeah, so a bit of a lull in the session now.
Are you sure?
Time. Yes, he had just finished one. Honest.
I think he's on a flyer.
He's going
He looks like he's pushing.
2 laps back to back. I have a look at his. Okay, that's an interesting strategy from Y Racer.
Well,
Going
let's
2
see what he
back to
does
back.
then. As he drops down the hill towards the last proper corner. Oh, he's run a little bit wide there. Oh, I thought he was going off for a second there.
Yeah.
The long climb up the hill. Let's see if he completes his lap or not. As he chucks it round the left-hander. And
No, he was on an
he
in-lap,
has
Mike.
pitted. I do apologise.
Don't
moving
worry,
on.
we've got Knighton on an outlap for you. So
Right,
there'll
I'll tell
be
you
more
what,
action.
he's about to start a bloody lap. Right, we're going to give you a quick rundown with 6.5 minutes to go. So we currently got Speed Senna in P1, Speed Knighton currently P2, Y Racer in P3, Chiapelli, our reigning champion, P4, Bossman Sean P5, Chris Johnson 6th, Elite Shot 7th, Dom Smith 8th, James Botham, who won't be setting another time, in 9th, and Bazza currently rounding out the top 10. As we now do have Knighton, who is starting a lap.
Yes, you've got. He had a whole 30 seconds for you to breathe there, Mike.
Oh, it was fantastic, wasn't it? I've never known a more special moment like that.
As we see Knighton just coming up towards the middle sector now. Can just come through turn 5 in towards 6, 7 and 8. There's 7 and into 8, which is slowing down. Triple, I really don't know what my directions are. Are they left, right, up, down?
He got a right, then he got a left, and then he got a right, and then he got a left.
Right, that cleared it up. Thank you for that.
No worries at all. Glad I could be of assistance.
As we see him coming through Sector 2 now. He's done a 17.0 Sector 2 apparently. Don't know if that's any good, but he's done that.
If he has, that'd be a very good middle sector time. I think that was probably his first sector time. But Knighton then up to the line, really taking the shortest run he can. Is he going to improve on Senna's time? Yes, he does, and he finds 4 tenths on his own best, and he's now got a 2-tenth buffer on Matt. So, ball's in Matt's court. Where is he at the moment? He's on a lap.
Yes, I think he is on a flying lap at the moment now, as he heads towards the middle sector for you.
Yep, here he goes then, towards the double right-hander, followed by another right-hander, and then it goes left, apparently. So, here he goes, this tricky braking zone at the top of this section of the hill, then chucks it into the left-hander, and he then winds the car up towards another tricky right-hander. and he's now going to be dropping down the hill. The Force India driver, is he going to find those 2 temps he needs, 2.5 temps, to outpace Knighton? And this is disastrous. I've just realised how bad this is for Dansgaard and his title hopes if Knighton gets pole. But one man who could help him out is Senna, and he's taking all the road he can on the run to the line, and he found 1,000th of a second, which isn't enough.
That's all the road doing that for you. That 1,000th one, Mike. All the roads.
That was all the roads that did that for him.
Yeah,
but it wasn't enough, as it turned out. He's still got some time to find, clearly.
Yeah, we've got elite shots. Well,
on.
He was on a flying lap, and then he's gone for a bit of a lawn mowing experience. It's not lawnmower racing, mate.
Very good.
So I think he's going to abandon that lap, and I think we're just going to be waiting for everyone to start their final runs in a minute. So another moment for you to breathe, Mike.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're going to take a short break where I quickly grab a drink and we get fueled up for the last couple of minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that, Mike. So we've got 3.5 minutes to go. It's a bit of a lull in the session as we see the first guys coming out for their final runs. It's one of the Red Bulls, I believe, so that would be Dom Smith will be the first car out on the circuit. Then we have a Toro Rosso of Bossman Shaw coming out behind him. So Dom Smith will be the first of the drivers to start his final run in this qualifying session. We've got Senna still waiting to come back towards the pit lane now. So, like I said, everyone's just coming on the out lap now. Dom Smith just getting the tyres warmed up, and I can hear that my co-commentator's finished getting a drink. How was the drink, Mike?
I have finished getting a drink. I'm well refreshed, and we are ready for these last few minutes of qualifying to determine our grid for round 13 of the TGP2 season, a season that has had many twists and turns, much like the second sector of this Brazilian Grand Prix racetrack. But which way will it turn tonight? Will it be in favour of Dansgaard or Knighton, as the season continues to throw up many different challenges and hurdles for our championship protagonists? So we got actually Bossman Sean is overtaken.
Yeah, it'll be the first one to start a flying lap with 2 minutes and about 5 seconds to go in this session. It'll be the first one.
I think so. Well, let's ride on board with Bossman Sean. He's had his controversial moments in the past, including one here last season. But will he be able to nail? Oh, he won't corner like that. And,
no, I think that's done.
That's kind of ruined it. I won't lie. So thanks for that, Sean. Really good. So we'll turn our attentions back to Dom Smith then, as he heads his way down the back straight now. He's got a tricky braking zone of turn 4 to spot with a Toro Rosso that's clogging up his sights, who gets nicely out of the way for him in the end, I have to say. But now he's got Chiapelli in front of him, his fellow countryman. He gets very close to the Mercedes there, chucks it into the double right-hander as he rises to the top of the hillock, and he chucks it into the right-hander. He did take a lot of curb, which Dom didn't, I have to say there. On the left-hander now, getting on the power as early as he can. Try not let the rear get away from you. And now into the another right-hander. Tricky acceleration zone here. Don't let the rear get away from you. Chucking it down the hill now. Dom then towards the end of sector 2, and he turns it into Zhong Chao, and he's run a little bit wide there and gets a little bit squirrely on the exit, and then rising up the hill then. The man from Castletown, I think it was, as he comes towards the line. Is this going to be an improvement of a 1 minute 9.0? Dom Smith to the line, and it isn't.
No. So Elite Shots is the next one on the circuit.
He's had a massive accident now.
Oh, big accident there for Dom Smith. As we see Elite Shots just coming through the middle sector, probably going left or right. I'm not really sure which one which.
Well then, here he comes then.
I'll be useless as a sat-nav, I'll tell you that for nothing, Mike.
I wouldn't trust you directing me, even to my own home. So I'd be a bit of a worry. Jack Craig then chucks it into the last corner. We've got a Force India off in front of him. I hope that's not Senna, who's bottom his last run. It might well be. As he rises up the hill then, is Jack Craig going to improve on a 1 minute 8.9? He keeps the shortest route. He does a 1 minute 8.7.9. He pops up to third.
Yeah,
extraordinary. Speed Knighton isn't going very quicker, and Senna started that, but he's hit the back of the Williams.
So yeah, Senna's over and done with. Just watching Y Racer going up the hill. DRS wide open in the Renault. What's he gonna do? He pops himself P3.
7.7.
So
Very good time.
Yeah, P3 for Y Racer Chiapelli. Next one to come across the line now in the Mercedes. The reigning TGB2 champion. What is he going to do for you, Mike? And he is going to come across the line and improves, but no positions gained.
Yeah, well...
And that is that from the session. Everyone's
that
done.
That is that, isn't it? Yeah, well... only Bazza's the only person out there who I think could be on a lap.
No,
is
he's
he,
not
or
on
is
a
he
lap.
on an in-lap?
Not a lap.
He's on an in-lap. So
Cruising
there we
back
have
to
it.
the pits.
There we have it. So Knighton takes another pole position to add to his ranks. He held off Senna. Y Racer getting up there as well. But look at that, Danskar down in 14th with no time on the board and is going to find himself at the back of the grid.
Fuck's sake.
What's wrong?
Wolves have scored again.
Oh dear.
Kill me now.
How's Arsenal's top 4 push going?
Well, it's about going about as well as my TGP1 career.
Well then, so let's give you a rundown of the final order as my colleague starts sobbing about his team's performance. So, Speed Knighton then on pole position in the Alfa Romeo. Senna joining him on the front row. Y Racer in 3rd. Jack Craig, great performance from him in 4th place. Chiapelli in 5th. Bossman Sean in 6th place. Chris Johnson in 7th. Dom Smith in 8th. Bazza 9th. And running out the top 10 is James Botham. Just missing out in the top 10 then Red Bull Kim and Mr. John. We'll then have Speed Danskar lining up in 13th place. And at the back of the grid, we'll have Michael Kenny.
Right, I'm going to get some alcohol.
So then, it's meant to be bone dry for the race, so hopefully it will stay that way. The Moves and Keens weather forecast has said it will remain dry, which is good to hear. So, here we go then. The drivers start to get ready for the start. And what could this race throw up for us? Are we going to see surprise winners? Are we going to see entertaining battles? Are we going to see great racing? And a podium that we can all agree will be justified and worthwhile. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. Oh, and there's a jump start further back for one of the McLarens, and we're underway as the cars race down to turn number 1, and it's a good start from the front two as they're all piling into turn 1 there, side by side, a lot of them further back, and it's Senna and Knighton who at the moment do hold the advantage, and there's contact further back, and there's cars off everywhere. Bossman Sean has spun, he's almost replicated what he did here last year, and he's dropped right to the back of the field. Mr. Chiapelli is battling with elite shots as well, and Y Racer's made up position in the meantime as well up on Senna. Knighton running a little bit wide in the exit of turn 4 there, as was Chiapelli. Dom Smith made up a couple of positions to 6th too, and Danskar's already up to 9th, so a really good start for him there as the cars funnel their way through sector number 2, and it's Knighton for the moment at least who holds the advantage ahead of Y Racer, but it's not very much between the three of the top, those three at the moment. Chiapelli starting to fall back a little bit. We've got the 2 McLarens further back being involved in it, but Bossman Sean is starting his recovery following that turn 2 incident as we got Y Racer all over the road there, and Senna trying to keep tabs with these two. Chiapelli at the moment is doing well to keep in touch. We've got the Ferraris battling with one of the Saubers further back. This is Danskar on his recovery drive. We've got Bazza all over the back of Dom Smith too, as Dom Smith goes defensive, as Bazza's teammate is also on the attack further back as well. Bazza's going to try around the long way of Dom Smith, as Danskar's going to try and find his way around the and Bazza has gone horribly wide, and this could really help his teammate if he can hold up Chris Johnson, who's gone round the outside of him. Danskar's trying to do the same, and Bazza nearly takes his teammate out as Bossman Sean picks up a penalty further back as Knighton extends his lead out the front to over a second, and Danskar chucks it up the inside of Chris Johnson. Has he pulled that on the exit of turn number 4 through 5? He's got it done as Chris Johnson yields going towards the double right-hander of 6 and 7. But further up the field though, we still have Knighton now over a second gap to Y Racer, with Senna keeping in touch with these two. But Chiapelli, as I said, doing very well. I've got a virtual safety car as James Botham has crashed further back, and the car's now limited to a certain speed. and they've got to keep to a certain delta time. It's about 40% of the actual race speed,
Yes.
I think.
Yes, you've got to increase your time by 40%. That is the ruling on that one.
Thank you for clarifying that for me. I was struggling with it.
Yeah, like I have in the commentary.
We had
nights,
an
it's fine.
exciting start, and we're still under virtual safety car as we see the top 3 getting quite racy, actually. Or
Yeah,
maybe we aren't under virtual safety car.
No, we are still on the virtual safety car according to
They
my
seem
home.
quite racy.
Yeah, they did, but they're not apparently. Still got virtual apparently,
Yeah, that's what I've got too.
but they're looking very racy for a virtual. I will say
They
that.
are. That's what I'm thinking. But I know they are.
There we go, now we're
Oh, there
racing.
we go. We're back green again.
Y
And Y
Racer.
Racer's got Knighton straight away. He's caught him napping. And the Renault moves into P1, and Knighton's going to try and come back at him. There's a little bit of contact. Y Racer runs wide even, and he's going to challenge him back. Knighton holding his own. Our championship leader is taking no risks, and these two going wheel to wheel through the middle sector. This isn't a part of the track where you normally see cars go side by side as they come now towards the long left-hander, and we have DRS has been enabled, so Y Racer, if he keeps within a second, will have DRS on the Sauber driver, and he will
Got
do
better
indeed
exit
Owen.
as well.
Are we going to see a change for the lead?
Yeah, I believe we will. He got a better exit than Knighton as well, and he's going to have DRS. Here comes the DRS, wide open on the Renault, coming to the outside of the Senna S. Going to be side by side coming across the line. He sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's moved done, and he's up into P1. Chiapelli past Senna further down the field as well.
Oh, they've both gone wide. They've gone very wide.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. They're maybe trying to go off to Rio de Janeiro, possibly.
Oh, and we've got a battle for the lead as Knighton runs out of the track, and he's taken out some of the brake marker boards there. I'm sure some of the other drivers won't be very appreciative of that. But Y Racer and Knighton getting very racy down into turn 4 there, Owen.
Yeah, definitely getting very racy indeed, top 2. Knighton doesn't really need to risk it. He's got a massive lead in the championship, especially after Danskar's performances so far tonight. He's going to have a big lead in the championship over Danskar, and Matt, who could be an outsider, is behind him as well, so he didn't really need to risk it as much as he had.
No, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops with Matt, Danskar and Chiapelli. Danskar now all over the back of Matt, so really good recovery so far from the Estonian. Now up
Knighton's
the hill,
all
and
over
he's
the back
even
of
be
Y
close enough
Racer
to
for
make
the
a
lead
move. He
as
might
well.
even get it done before the DRS, Owen.
Yeah, we've got Knighton down the inside as well of the race leader Y Racer into the Senna S. Great camera angle we've got there, provided by Dom Smith cameras as we head round the corner, and he's got the move done, by the way.
But Y Racer will have the DRS himself. We've got a fantastic rear shot now of the race leader, but Y Racer just not quite close enough to try one into turn number 3. Danskar did get past Senna further back and will now start to be challenging Chiapelli for P3. So really good recovery so far that from the Estonian. Great to see our championship protagonists getting involved in such close battles throughout the field, and Danskar on a great recovery drive nonetheless to get himself back up into the competitive areas of the field.
Yeah, definitely good drive indeed. We've got Danskar. He's all over the back of Chiapelli now, I believe. Yes, he is.
He is indeed. So are we going to see a change for third place? It really wouldn't surprise me if we did. And the hour against the Mercedes, and we know of late which one's been the more powerful in the straight lines. Are we going to see this reiterated? Danskar, interestingly, doesn't seem to have the DRS open as Senna's pulled into the pits. Danskar sitting a fastest lap of the race, and he is really pushing at the moment as he wants to try and challenge the top 2 and alleviate the damage that Knighton is doing to his championship lead. But here he goes again then. He's still not using I wonder if it's failed for him, because it doesn't seem to be open. The outside of Chiapelli, this would be a good move if he pulls it off. Runs a little bit wide, but has he got the move done? They're still side by side. It's running on turns 5 and 6. And I tell you what, Owen, that got very messy for a second.
Yeah, it nearly did. Chiapelli's very lucky to still have a part of his front wing. Danskar's very lucky not to have a puncher as well. Very awkward contact, front wing to rear wheel. Normally that ends up in a puncher, but both drivers got away with it.
Yeah. So, we will now see how quickly Danskar can catch the back of Y Racer Knighton. The interesting thing to remember, of course, though, he does have fresh tyres. So, unlike the people he's battling with, although he's in the same compound, he is going to technically be able to go longer than them in this race, as Chiapelli darts off into the pits, as does Y-Racer. Knight and Danskar stay out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we've got a battle brewing between Dom Smith and Chris Johnson, and I'm going to yeet myself. No, don't. Oh, no, sorry. I've just seen the Arsenal score again. Oh, it's 3-0.
Oh dear. Who scored the third?
Jota.
Oh dear.
It's still the first half.
Oh dear.
If there's any bleach suppliers out there, please let me know. Get in touch with me on Twitter at VoteMayorQuimby. I would like all of your bleach right now, please.
Right. Well, meanwhile, yes, Chris Johnson and Dom Smith are still having a right old rough and tumble for, on track at least, third place. So, are we going to see a change of position there, I wonder?
Very interesting to see indeed. It's probably going to be more entertaining for me tonight than the Arsenal game. So, but anyway, Chris Johnson peels in. No, doesn't peel into the pitch, but Dom Smith does.
Well, and he's picked up a penalty. He's done this a lot recently as Dom. He needs to get a
hello.
little bit more cautious.
Just to get your attention, Mike, Y-Racer all over the back of Angel versus Death.
Oh,
Gonna have the fresh tyres, obviously, but that got very tasty. Angel versus Death nearly puts Y-Racer in the wall.
We've also got Knighton coming out the pits. I think he's done enough to stay ahead of Y-Racer. Yes, he has. But that's released Dan's car a little bit now. Now, are we going to be able to see him extending his lead, rather?
Yeah, that'd be a very interesting question indeed. But getting back to my point there, Angel versus Death is, well, he's stacked it around turn 5. I'm not sure what sort of line he was trying to take there, and he's ended up stacking it in the wall and ending his race.
Ah, well done, Michael Kenny. Well, that's all I can say, really, is well done.
Yeah, we've got Knighton battling Mr. John very closely now as well. Nearly a bit of contact coming through turn 11. Jun Chow for you, Mike.
Yeah, so our net race leader at the moment. We've
got
a yellow
flag
as Elite Oh, no!
Chris Johnson's got a penalty.
Qualifying. And Chris Johnson got a 5-second, and he's binned it on the. He's just Y-Race has just passed it as Knighton makes his way past Mr. John and back into lead as Dan's car's pitted and actually leading the pits. And I tell you what, Owen, I think he's going to have jumped Y-Racer.
It's going to be
very close.
See where he is. We're following Danskar now, just coming out of the pits. He's going to come out just in front of Y-Racer, I believe. Yes, he is, but Y-Racer is going to have all the momentum. Is he going to launch it down the inside? And Chiapelli's there as well.
Chiapelli's battling him.
Oh, it's getting all very tasty for this third. This could be next P2 in this race. And you know what? Danskar's not out of it for a race victory either.
Definitely not. And Chiapelli's just chucked one up the inside of Y-Racer as well there. And Y-Racer's running wide. Them two are having a great little tussle behind Dan's car, who has just come out of the pits. Chiapelli's currently holding the advantage at the moment. And Dan's car, as Owen said, just 3.5 seconds off the lead now. This race win is not out of the question for the man who started second to last, as Mr. John runs a little bit wide further ahead. And that's going to give Dan's car the opportunity he needs to move up into, on the track, P2. And he's going to try around the outside of Mr. John and does get the move done as Knighton set the fastest lap of the race as Mr. John peels off into the pit. Chiapelli's going defensive from Y-Racer. Is the Renault going to try a lunge into turn 1? He thinks better of it, but surely down into turn 3 he's going to have the DRS to try and make the move up the inside of Mercedes, Owen.
Yeah, definitely going to try and make a move on the inside of Mercedes. He's getting, well, he lost a bit of ground and now he's getting closer again, isn't he, Mike?
Yeah, so Chiapelli trying his best as Y-Racer running wide again there. It's going to be interesting over the next 9 laps to see what happens with the gap in the lead. It's currently come down by about 2 or 3 tenths so far this lap. So Dan's car, with the bit between his teeth, going to try and catch and overtake Knighton to take another race win this season and keep the championship alive. Because who won the last race, Owen? Was it Knighton?
No, it was Senna. Senna won the last race.
And where was Knighton and Danskar?
Knighton finished P2 and Danskar was down in P8.
So big points gained from Knighton in the last round. Dansgaard won't want to have both races tonight where his main rival takes points out of him, but we've still got this fantastic battle for third at the moment. Chiapelli still doing everything in his power to hold on to it, and Y-Racer down the inside into turn one. Dom Smith retired further back, but the Renault driver, a very clean and precise manoeuvre to get past Mercedes, but Chiapelli's got a great run coming through turn three. Y-Racer holds the inside line as much as he can. He's forcing Chiapelli to go around the outside, and Chiapelli's going to try it, you know, and he pushes him a little bit off the track. These two still rubbing wheels. Chiapelli's not letting this one go without a fight, but no. Y-Racer, for the moment at least, has hold on to it, and that should be that for now at least, unless Chiapelli can try and sneak one up the inside. And he gets very squirrely as he clips the grass even there, Owen, and Chiapelli on the edge of a Hegan.
Yeah, very much on the edge of his grip limitations for his Pirelli soft tyres. It's soft, yeah, it's soft tyres around this circuit. I'm trying to think, yeah, it's soft because it's, yeah. I was trying to remember because they've changed it for real life this year. It's now the mediums, I believe, this year, the yellow wall.
The yellow wall is mediums, yes.
Yes. Either way, they're getting back onto another bit of feisty action. Y-Racer going very defensive early on for you, Mike.
Yeah, here we go. Y-Racer knows that Chiapelli will try and move no matter what cost even, and that's what we like about our reigning champion. And our most likely outgoing champion as well, I have to say, but he's going to definitely try and at least make some comeback here on Y-Racer, try and get onto the podium, but not quite close enough this time round. He's going to keep trying and keep going at it, forcing Y-Racer to making these little mistakes, which is keeping him within striking range. Chiapelli then doing everything in his power, but at the moment not quite enough.
No, not quite enough indeed. But this is definitely the closest battle on the circuit. The one to keep all our eyes on, Mike, as we head in towards the final closing stages of this race.
Yeah, this is where it's going to start getting a little bit personal. The remaining 6 laps. Knighton has steadied the gap between him and Dansgaard. The sun's coming out, and we've still got 6 temps between our battle for third and Matt, who qualified obviously on the front row, has been nowhere this race after the first lap, and Y-Racer went defensive incredibly early there. I don't know if that's just his natural racing line, but
no, he did the same last lap.
Left.
He did the same the previous lap as well, Mike.
Oh, but so he's going a little bit wide there into turn one, sorry, Owen, and this could leave him open to attack.
It could very much so, indeed. There's only 3 temps now, the gap between Mr. Chiapelli and Y-Racer. I don't think he's been close enough to make a move into turn number 4, is he? No, he's not quite close enough. He gets very much closer under brakes to the back of Y-Racer. Maybe pull a bold move in the middle sector or wait for the main straight. Probably better off waiting for the main straight.
Yeah, I think so. Still very close though. So he gets a little bit out of shape at the top of the crest, and he's pushing. Bossman Sean picks up a penalty further back, but he's really fighting this one.
Yeah, Mr. Chiapelli had a massive slide just coming out of that corner as well, and lost a bit of time to Y-Racer, which has ruined his chances probably for this lap trying to get past.
Yeah, I think so. But he's going to try it nonetheless, I'm sure. And this is one man that we know will do anything in his power to try and make the racing not only entertaining for us commentating, but you watching, and also for himself, try and make it as interesting as he can to make up as many places in as many difficult ways as he can. We have learned also from our one of our favourite Manxmen in the field. This time maybe down into turn number 4. I don't think he's close enough, but he's running out of laps. I know in a minute, is it going to be panic time?
I don't think it's quite panic time yet. Maybe last 2 laps it will start to become panic time, but he's very close to the back of him here. And Senna is actually closing on this pair. Not a rate of knots, but he's definitely starting to close the gap.
Yeah, the last couple of laps we could have a 3-way fight for third. Chiapelli almost pushing Y-Racer around these corners, and he might even be close enough to try one here. Y-Racer's had to go defensive. This is going to really compromise him coming down the hill now, and he's going to have to watch out because Chiapelli's going to be right where he needs to make a move into turn 1 now. Surely, you're right, this is really pulling Senna in as well, who's gained a couple of tenths already this lap, and if these two are going to keep battling as Chiapelli's positioning his car right where
what was that?
crashes in the wall. Oh my goodness me! He didn't need to make the move in the end. The Renault driver is lucky to still be in the race, but he's had to come into the pits from losing his front wing. A disaster for him. Owen, I did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. He's been taking that line the last few laps, and for some reason that time, that line just spat him out into the wall. Maybe he got a wheel on the grass and just completely unsettled the car there, Mike.
Very much so, as he's going to come out in the race about P8 now. So he could have, he was on for a podium, but it's gone disastrously wrong for the Renault driver there. And Chiapelli is going to have his mirrors full, maybe with a force injury in a couple of laps' time. Meanwhile, out the front, the gap's up to 4 seconds. Looking down the field, and the gaps are quite spread out. Bossman Sean is going to come out relatively close to Y Racers, so this is going to be our closest battle on the track now. The battle for 8th. And he's going to try around the outside of Sean, but with Sean's
no, Sean's gone.
Where's he gone? He's in the wall.
He's
God!
He's done it. He's off. He's had enough.
Oh, Sean, you've ruined our battle.
Well, you say you've ruined that battle, but Mr. John is actually closing up to the back of Bazza for you.
Here we go then. Keep an eye on that gap between 3rd and 4th, because Senna's just taken half a second out of Chiapelli on that last tour. So keep an eye on those two. But you're right, Mr. John just 1.3 behind Bazza in the battle for 6th. These two relatively close in the championship as well. Key to remember. I'm
just going to have a quick look at their tyre age, and Mr. John's on 6-lap-old super softs, while 13-lap-old mediums for Bazza. So he's going to have the grip advantage, Mr. John, over Bazza.
Right. That's key to remember.
Sean's out.
I don't really know what to say right now. I can't believe Y Racer chucked it away like that.
Yeah, maybe the pressure.
I mean, he's only had one race, but from what we judged from him from his first race, it seemed relatively uncharacteristic from him.
Giving character traits after one race. Well, they do it in TV shows, so why not?
Don't they? Yeah, let's make him a character before he is a character.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got about a lap and a half left of this Brazilian Grand Prix. And we've got 3rd and 4th relatively close on the road, 1.3 separating them. Is Matt going to be able to turn what was a disastrous start into a podium still? He's still got he's still out of the DRS buffer to Chiapelli, mind you, as Y Racer puts in the fastest lap of the race further down the field. Little consolation to him now, though, I imagine.
Yeah. Definitely would be indeed. Meanwhile, Mr. John is now less than a second behind Bazza.
Well, here we go then. Mr. John, mighty fancy a piece of Bazza's 6th place. I imagine he might want to. Points mean prizes. And particularly for John, who, as we said, haven't had much to shout about so far this season, will want something to shout about now. So we've got the leaders who are on the final lap, but let's keep half an eye on Mr. John and Bazza as they head towards turn 1. And they've got a lapped car of Red Bull Kim behind them. Is the gap going to come to under a second for the DRS detection zone? One man's going to be very much hoping it is, and that's Mr. John, and one man's going to be very much hoping it isn't. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3 at the moment. No idea what that's for. But Mr. John hasn't, unfortunately for him, got DRS. But I tell you what, 7/10 of a second currently separates 3rd and 4th.
Yeah,
so
very
this
close
fight
indeed.
for the last podium isn't over yet.
No, definitely not indeed. There's only a few corners left to go in this race, though, unfortunately, for Senna. So I think it will probably be a case of too little, too late for him.
I think it might be. I'm going to switch my attention back now to Knighton, who we talked about a lot in the first part of this race, with a fantastic battle with him and Y Racer and him and Senna. But he's done exactly what he needed to. We got a virtual safety car.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Oh, Knighton slowed.
What's going on? Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Oh, God, this is... He's got a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag.
So, Knighton wins the race from Danskar, finishes P2. Mr. Chiapelli comes home in third. Speed Senna finishes in fourth. Chris Johnson comes home fifth. Good result for him. We're now rating for Bazza and Mr. John, who are still tussling. Just 6 tenths separate them at the moment, but it's Bazza who holds on to it to take P6, with Mr. John coming home in seventh. And Owen, that was quite an interesting Brazilian Grand Prix, I have to say.
Yeah, very interesting Brazilian Grand Prix. We weren't really sure what was happening at the finish, and then we realised, and we were like,
But here he is, Knighton, a fantastic result for him and his championship hopes. Danskar kept him honest in the final stint, but he had done enough already to secure him the win. Danskar, as we said, the Estonian, great drive from him in the end, 13th to second, really showing that he has got the pace. And we had Chiapelli joining on the podium. Good result there for our reigning champion.
yeah, very good result.
So let's give you... Sorry, Owen.
Oh, I thought you'd finish. That's why I thought I'd start.
No, I was just about to. So let's give you a rundown of the order then. So as we said, Knighton coming home in first, Danskar coming home P2, Mr. Chiapelli in third, Senna in fourth, Chris Johnson in fifth, Bazza sixth, Mr. John in seventh, Y Racer coming home in eighth, Red Bull Kim in ninth place, Bossman Sean, disappointing race for him in 10th, Dom Smith, DNF and 11th, Elite Shot still picking up 1 point. Thankfully for him in 12th, Angel versus Death in 13th, and James Botham rounding out our top 14. So Owen, let's have a quick chat with you then. So what were your sort of end thoughts from the race we had today?
Well, I thought my end thoughts were as Knighton's had a very good performance, extending his championship lead again tonight over his main rival Danskar. Matt had a decent-ish night, and Y-Race had a very impressive debut race, and then was doing all right in the second one, and then it sort of went backwards for him.
Yeah, so not very good for the Renault driver there. Well, that's been another end to a very entertaining night once again in TGP2. We will see you next week, where our races Owen's about to announce for me because I've forgotten.
They are in Monaco and Mexico next week.
The two M's. So
yes.
We'll see you at M&M next weekend, or next week. And if anyone has any interests in joining TGP, then go follow the Twitter page at TGP Series. I've been Mike Noon. This has been Owen Quimby. It's been a TGP production. And we will see you next week on PS4.
See you on PS4.